Hello, I'm Greg Jarrett. You are in the strategy room. Washington lawmakers are growing concerned over whether the Obama administration will ignore Christians as it weighs accusing ISIS of genocide, while some reports suggest the president's team may only declare genocide against Yazidis. Lawmakers from both parties say Christians and other minorities should also be recognized. Joining us now to talk about it, David Mercer and Brad Blakeman in Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Brad, I looked up Article 2 and 3 of the 48 Convention on the punishment of genocide. Clearly what's happening to Christians in Syria in particular, at the hands of ISIS, falls under that definition. Why would the Obama administration be reluctant to call this what it is, genocide?
It is beyond me, Greg. There is no doubt about it that these Christians are being targeted, they're being persecuted, they're being killed, and who else is going to stick up for them but the American government, you would think. But by the way, the Holy See is a sovereign country in and of itself, representing Christianity. If I were the Pope, I would be before the Security Council of the UN, and I would be making my case. I would also be making my case to the United States of America. And the Pope, quite frankly, has not been as vocal as he should be, because his influence alone would bring attention to this and force our government to do the right thing.
David, what about it? I mean, we've seen the videotaped summary executions, beheadings, crucifixions of Christians. There's no doubt this is genocide. Why not say what it is?
Well, I think in real time, we see these pictures and these images, and the first word that comes to mind is genocide. However, in the fog of war, litigating an issue which would have to go through certain courts or venues in adjudicating genocide, I think it more effective that you take the leaders off of the battlefield. Just in December, you've had 9 major leaders of ISIS that have been pretty much eliminated. I think winning the war on the battlefield and pushing back, right, getting back Ramadi or whatever, is what brings back security for Christians as well as other
David,
Muslims.
I get that. And look, the only downside to not declaring Christians as victims of genocide at the hands of ISIS is that under international treaties, it would force the United States, arguably, to do something about it, to intervene. Right. But we're already doing something about it with the airstrikes against ISIS. So,
and once we stabilize things, we will take it to the courts, and it'll be adjudicated.
Well, we can't do two things at the same time?
Well, it's been the practice. I mean, look, there's still the issue of Turkey in 1915 committing genocide among the Armenians, and that has not gotten to the floor of Congress in 100 years.
And likely should have.
It takes a lot of adjudication.
Brad, what's going on here? What's the truth of what's going on?
Here's the truth, in my opinion, is you have an administration who refuses to identify the enemy for what they are. This is radical Islam we're at war with, and we have a president that will use the acronyms ISIS, ISIL, depending on who you talk to in the administration, but he refuses to call it what it is. And if you can't identify it, you can't cure it, you can't eradicate it, and you can't get others on board to do it if you yourself, as the leader of the world, to take on this crisis. And again, I have to lay some blame at the door of the Holy See, because they're not using their influence like they should either.
Yeah, and probably to the consternation of the Archbishop Worrell, who has been at the forefront trying to get the attention of Secretary of State John Kerry. David, I'll give you the final word on this.
I'll just say, the enemy is clearly identified, because this administration, along with the coalition of others, be it the French, the Turks, and others, have eliminated 9. My count is 9 leaders just in 30 days. So they know who they are, and they're going at them, and they've gotten Ramadi back. They've had accomplishments on the battlefield to push back ISIS and the leadership.
Yeah, I get it, but a declaration, a formal declaration ought to be made. The argument is had here.
Action versus words, I'll say.
How about both, you know? David Mercer,
Yeah,
Brad Blakeman, thank you both. For more on this developing story, let's go to foxnews.com. I'm Greg Jarrett. Thanks for watching.